Hello.
Hello. Hello and welcome to Call You in 5 Minutes. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Sarah.
and we're so excited for today's chat.
Yeah, we got a special little chat.
Got a little presentation.
Yeah, baby. And
Lock on your academic hats.
oh yeah, we're coming in hot. We got slides and slides. And that's pretty much the main event today is slides.
Thinking about it. Well, I'm almost done House of Flame and Shadow. And
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
we're getting there. So maybe next week or the week after, depending on how we're feeling, we could do a debrief on Crescent City,
Yeah.
book 3. Um,
Yes.
And we're getting to that time. I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm starting to get scared that spoilers are gonna be there. And there is some stuff that I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, better just not look because spoilers are coming online.
Yeah.
Um, so that means that we're also free to start spoiling it on this because
It's been
A,
spoiled everywhere else.
yeah, spoilers are going to be out there. If you
Yeah.
haven't been reading Crescent City like now, then you know that's the catch.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that episode.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, spoilers are
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 coming
starting.
in.
We can only hold them in for so long.
Yeah, I actually I did find myself getting spoiled on a couple things, but not like too much because
Yeah.
I am so close to the end. It wasn't like spoiling of the end of the book. It was just like some funny, some funny
Yeah.
memes and stuff from character perspectives, and I was having a chuckle. But I also
Oh
was like,
yeah.
"Oh, girl, you are, you're playing with fire."
Yeah. My main thing with I guess on Crescent City overall, and we can get into it later during this other episode, is I'm not an Ethan fan. I'm not an Ethan fan at all. Ethan's every time Ethan's perspective comes up in this book, I'm like, "Ugh, more of this. Like I'm just so not into it. Um,
I mean, yeah, he definitely is grinding my gears. Everyone's grinding my gears. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like,
no,
let's
and
all take a
where
beat. No.
where we are right now, I'm like, "Oh, Ethan, you finally did something good for
Yeah,
once." But like
yeah.
I've overall just been like, "Oh my God, Ethan, can you get over it already? I'm so sick of this."
All the males in this have been very like Therian and Hunt and Rune. I haven't been like it's not like I don't love them. Of course I love them. But
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you right there because Rune 1 and 2, I did not get the Rune hype, but Rune in book 3, I have
oh,
been
Rune Danon, Crown Prince of the Valbaran Fae.
I think it must have been book one. I definitely was like, this man. But it was also hard because it was obviously the perspective of Bryce's brother too.
yeah.
So I was like, it's hard to like get too into it, but I was into it. This book, definitely love, 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 love. But for Christ's sake, like I'm just, I just want to slap him. Like you, like same with all the men in this, the males in this book. They're taking me down, like they're taking me down to like I'm just like, okay, boys.
Oh, also I was thinking today because I read chapter 88 and maybe another one. Come on, Sarah. You were holding out on the spice in this one. This is not a spoiler, but come
Seriously.
on, girl. And I obviously knew that the beginning of the book was going to
Yeah.
be like that because of where we were. But like, come on, girl. I am.
Oh, I'm dried up like a cactus over here. Like you've got to be joking
And
me.
then, and then finally, there's like a spicy scene, and it's like one chapter over, done, moving on.
One chapter, and we're not coming back to that. ever again.
Oh, and also
It's
like we didn't get
ridiculous.
deep into the details. We didn't get like it wasn't that crazy. It was literally like, okay, yeah, okay, we had sex.
Spirits were
The end.
intertwining, blah blah blah. The end.
Oh yeah, our souls are connected, which I'm like, okay, that's fucking
We
great.
got it.
But
We got it. We knew that the first time that your souls were together. I know. I'm with you. It was very
that is
yeah.
the one thing I will say about Sarah J. Maas is like once two people are mated, it's like there's the mating, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Then
No
she's
effort after that.
she's like, oh yeah, now they're like married and the sex is boring now.
That is actually so accurate. It's it's the like anticipation, the slow burn, the tantalizing. You're like, oh my God, like enemies to lovers, all of this like tension build up, and then it's like they finally are mates. It happens. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then it's like, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that because that's all you're getting. I'm like,
I know. Like if she could just drag
what?
it out, like more honeymoon phase. Like no couple in a Sarah J. Maas book gets a honeymoon phase because they immediately have to go to war. And then one
Yeah,
of them's being tortured and they're
yeah,
separated and they
yeah.
don't get to like see each other for 17 months. And then they get back together and they're like, I missed you. I'm so traumatized. It's just like, come on,
Oh,
Sarah, please milk it a little.
a little more, please. The only one that was obviously like very sexy and spicy was Silver Flames. Like
Oh,
obviously. That
Silver
was the only
Flames.
one. That was the only one.
Silver Flames
Which
are the one for me. And you know what?
yeah.
This is where, if we were ranking, Jennifer L. Armentrout wins in the spice department for that
Oh,
reason.
that woman.
She
That
gets
woman
it.
gets it.
Sarah J. Maas is the GOAT because her world building, like
Yeah.
the intricacy that she does, the way that she describes her characters, she is on another level. But when we're talking spice, Jennifer L. Armentrout, you're giving it, girl, because
You
she
are
does the combo. She just milks it a little bit more,
yeah.
and I'm here
Oh,
for it.
she is the gold medalist for that. Like for real. It's oh, she gives it to you. She gives it to you. Sarah J. Maas, she gives us a great taste of it, but then it like disintegrates once
Yeah,
you
so she
taste it.
brings you to the peak, the anticipation,
Yeah.
everything. You're like
To the
burning.
brink.
You get it. But then it's like once your two characters are together, like once they're actually together, the heat's dead.
Yeah. Which I don't understand. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I would love a fantasy book, and maybe I just haven't read enough. Maybe that's my problem. But Jennifer L. Armentrout is the one. But
She does
it's
it.
like she does
Like
it.
it's like, Sarah, give us that's what happens. That's why Silver Flames is so good because Nesta and Cassian, they don't hate each other, but there's that adversarial part, and Nesta's like resistant.
Mhm.
And then they sleep together, but then Nesta's still fighting. Like she's still
Yeah.
like, I'm,
No,
I'm still not committed. And
yeah.
that's why the heat lasts. And it's
Yes.
like, give us a relationship where the heat is still there,
Yeah. I
even
think
like after.
that would be a great, just like, if a writer can do that for what after the like precipice of the intense love is made, blah blah blah. It's like I would just love to know if a writer can continue that heat afterward. Because currently
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have it. I don't
I
feel
know.
like
And
I've
I
seen
think the
it.
thing is, especially from a writing perspective, I could see how you feel like, oh, like, it's getting repetitive doing whatever, so many of these, which I get. You want to like mix it up, but hey, Jennifer L. Armentrout's fucking killing it with the level that she holds up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think that
Oh,
this is a good
oh
segue for me
yes.
to get into my picks because I got more of this. Here we
Massive.
go.
Okay.
Sarah's picks.
Oh yeah. Sarah's picks. Overrated and underrated books. So
We're
good.
starting off with
You
underrated books.
are you're a presentation queen. Mine looks like
This is a classic
not the
Google
same.
Slides template. Highly recommend Google Slides.
Got it.
Okay. I also making slides is my like basically my full-time job. So
I have not made slides
I
since
have a lot
school.
of experience in making slides. My job is just slides.
Slide making. Senior slide maker.
I'm very comfortable with slides. Okay.
Let's
First
see it.
up, Jennifer L. Armentrout. Okay. She is my number one underrated because I see a lot of ACOTAR on the amount of ACOTAR and Sarah J. Maas content I get on TikTok to Jennifer L. Armentrout. I understand. I agree. Sarah J. Maas is the GOAT, but like I almost never see like stuff about Jennifer L. Armentrout on like Instagram, TikTok. The
Yeah, there's
TikToks that
only
make it onto Instagram. I
yeah.
see some Blood and Ash content, but
Yeah.
like I say Blood and Ash and ACOTAR, I hold those at almost the same level.
Yeah.
So like I really feel like Blood and Ash is underrepresented. I'm so in love with Castile. He might be one of my favorite men in
Castile
books.
and Kieran. I love them
And
both.
Kieran. And let me tell
Castile
you,
and Kieran.
the third or fourth book of this series has my number one most favorite sex scene of all time.
Oh, yeah.
The joining is the best thing of all time. It made me want to have a threesome, even though I don't think that I would actually like that in real life. But that was
That
so good that I was like, I want that.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was like, obviously, I want this.
I was
Obviously, I
like,
want two
this-
beautiful men worshiping
This
me
is
right
the
now.
only depiction that I've ever heard in my whole life that ever made me think that a threesome might be enjoyable. So let me leave it at that. I love that it's like a vampire-ish world. They're not technically vampires, but I
Yeah.
love that blood sucking baby and the feeding off each other. I'm
Oh my
so into it. The way that
I'm
they
so
drink each
into
other's
it.
blood, I'm obsessed. It's so good.
Obviously.
And it's so like obviously we're talking about how spicy it is. It's so spicy. It's so good. This whole series, Light in the Flame. I don't have it on this slide, but same deal.
Yeah.
Like I'm obsessed. I love Castile more than Nyktos.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like if you read Blood and Ash, you'll also read Light in the Flame. I don't need to tell you, but also I see a lot of Light in the Flame online, which is funny because Blood and Ash isn't online that much. I'm just like, why are
Mhm.
people not talking about it all the time? Why are there not artful depictions of the joining online everywhere? I want to see
I've
those.
only ever found one.
I would
also
pay
fan art.
money.
Oh my god, fan art.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, so maybe we'll do a deep dive on fan art and see if we can find some good ones because that I am interested in.
yeah. Yeah.
I also think it'd be fun to compare like our favorite depictions because there are a lot of different ones of like what they look like.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, on Jennifer L. Armentrout, Fall of Ruin and Wrath. So good. There's only one out, but I
good.
was literally like screaming and giggling through this whole book. It was spicy. I can't wait for the next one. I'm so excited that she's done this. Jennifer L. Armentrout, you're doing it right. These next
Yeah.
two, you haven't read these yet.
I haven't.
Okay,
have
so these
not.
are both in the same world. You can read them in whatever order. I read the Harbinger series first and then read the other one. And I enjoyed that order. I don't know, but the other one technically happens first, but you'll understand once you read it. It doesn't really matter what order because the characters are pretty unrelated. There's some crossover of the characters like later on in the books.
Ooh.
So in the Dark Elements series, there's demons, and then there's also these gargoyles and humans. It mainly focuses on the demons and the humans aspect. She's half demon, and because of the type of demon she is, if she kisses anyone, she will steal their soul. So she's in love with someone. She's been in, like she's a teen and she's been in love with him forever, but they obviously can't kiss because she would steal his soul. And then a new sexy demon comes into her life and she can technically kiss him because demons don't have like they won't steal
Yeah.
each other's souls.
Yeah.
And he is so great. And like all hell breaks loose obviously because like they go on this crazy adventure together. But the main romantic dynamic is between her, this non-demon that she can't kiss or else she'll steal his soul, and this demon who's like very, very intrigued in her. And you know, like they could be together because she wouldn't steal his soul. So, anyways, and it's really good.
Oh, love.
The
Okay.
second series, this Harbinger series, is more on the gargoyles aspect. So she is vision. The main girl is vision impaired and like passes as a human, but has like secret powers. So she's very like strong and stuff. And she is um oh my god. Yeah, so she's vision impaired. She lives among the gargoyles, which are like these protectors and their skin's made of stone. So like they fight demons. And she has to be protected because she's so special and powerful. And so she gets paired up with a new gargoyle who's her protector, and they have to live together. And then they are like obviously fall in love. Spoiler, but like it's gonna happen. And it's really I would put this definitely more on like Twilight level where there is a lot of like, oh yeah, because he is a virgin. So there's a lot more like anticipation
Mm.
style, but they do sleep together. And it is good because it's Jennifer L. Armentrout. And so anyways, so this one also good.
I love it. I love it so much.
So basically, these are everything I've read by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I love every single one of these books. They're all so good. I'd say Blood and Ash and Fall of Ruin and Wrath are like the top.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But these
Fall
other
of Ruin
like
and Wrath. Whoa.
these gargoyle and demon ones, really, really good.
Okay, great. It's on my list. Yeah, I was gonna preface this. I'm like, you have definitely read way more than me. So I feel like you'll have some great ones here. The ones I have, I'm gonna be like, well, one. We already have one that's the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious.
On Stacey Marie Brown. I never see her recommended online anywhere. I think that she basically came across my page by me like scrolling Goodreads, Apple Books, and Kindle, like looking for things that interest me. The first thing I read of hers was the Savage Land series. So it's a very Crescent City style world that is kind of European-esque, but like the humans and magical creatures and fairies all kind of live together and have this like political like divide where like humans have to live here, fairies have to live there, and then there's like a weird mishmash in between where like the the people who don't belong live there. That's like the
Mm.
Badlands or Savage Lands. So she is like a kind of princess in this world. Her dad was like a very high up, so she lives among like not like she lives among like with the president, like in that kind of like that style of house. And she's considered like the princess of this land. But she's very like rebellious towards. So she's like doing small acts of rebellion by like stealing things and like doing stuff like that against the people. And so that eventually like she does something too risky and gets landed in prison and she meets the sexiest, baddest man alive. And they're for some reason drawn to each other, even though he never talks to anybody.
Oh, you gotta love those. You
And
gotta love those.
so these, I would say these books, they're a little bit darker and very sexy.
Oh,
And
like spicy sexy or just like anticipatory sexy?
spicy sexy.
Oh.
It's so good. So then they're like in prison and then they like get out and are like on the lam together. It's so good. There's 6 books in this series. They're like shorter. Like it's not like
They're not like
they're
1,000
not like
pages.
yeah. So like 6 books is still a long read, but like the books aren't like 1,200 pages each. They're like shorter.
Oh, that's nice.
Um and so yeah, they go on crazy adventures and it's so sexy and good.
Oh my god. I love that trope. I love the trope of the man like you know, he's like always been like dark and like, you know, never really connects with anyone. But then it's like this one being is like, he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
What's
He's
that?
like,
Who's
I
that?
was in prison forever and like nothing interested me and I just did whatever I wanted and such a badass. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden this fucking weird girl comes in and I can't stop thinking about her. I love that.
You got me. You got me.
Okay. And
I'm hooked.
also her men are like these big, hulking, dark baddies. It's fantastic.
Love that. Love that.
Okay. So the next one of hers that I read, I only read these two series by her, Stacey Marie Brown. It's called the Darkness series. So she's another bad teen. And
Oh yeah.
she gets in trouble. I don't remember for what. And then she ends up having to do like community service. And her partner on the community service is this sexy, scary biker man that all of her friends and everything are like, "Oh my God, you're talking to him? He's like the scariest man in town. Everyone's afraid of him." So he turns out, yeah, exactly. And so she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so drawn to this man. It's so weird, but also he's so bad and it's so dangerous." Um, and so they are actually like fairy type people that are masquerading as a biker gang in the human world.
Okay.
And so as she, you know, because she's so drawn to him and is like trying to be around him, she like accidentally gets caught up in this dangerous fairy world
Oh no.
land. Very Twilight-esque of like, you can't go back now. You're in too deep.
Oh, gotta love that. Gotta love that.
Um, anyways, so I also loved that one. That one has 5 books and there's a 6th, but it switches character perspective. So I didn't actually read that last one because it's like a pretty drastic character change.
Mm. Is it like based off of like one of the ones that's already been written, like like story wise, or is it a new part to the story? Do you
Yeah,
know?
so basically where the 5th book ends off was like kind of where it mostly ends. There's like it's kind of like how Frost and Starlight is the end of ACOTAR, and then Silver Flames is like
Mm-hmm.
not
Yeah,
an
kind of like
optional read, but like, oh, this is kind of almost a new story.
yeah,
That's the type of character change that it is.
gotcha.
So I haven't read that one because like the new character whose perspective is, I'm like, I don't even know this person. I do
Yeah,
know who they are, but I was like, eh. So
yeah.
anyways, I'm not saying that book's not good. I just like at the time was like, I'm gonna read something else instead. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is my last round. So these ones I think were both recommended by Sarah J. Maas, which is how they
Oh,
came.
the Prison Healer. Is that the
Yeah.
one you were reading
So
when you were
this
on
is
a... Okay, yeah.
yes, exactly. I was reading it on the trip, but then we were also reading Fourth Wing. I don't know
Yes.
what. It
Yeah,
was a
that
busy
oh
time.
man. It
Yeah,
was
so
a busy day.
basically I saw something that was like, these are the things that Sarah J. Maas recommends. Prison Healer, and I think Dark Shores was on it, but definitely Prison Healer was. So that's where it came across my desk. Um, the Prison Healer, she's been in the prison since she was a child.
Oh.
And then an interesting new man comes into her life in the prison. He gets sent to prison and enters her life that way. And her life takes on a whole new direction. Obviously. It's not the spiciest book. I think I was in the 2nd book and they like kissed.
Oh, for Christ's
So,
sake. Yeah, that's what you were
yeah.
saying. Dude, I feel like maybe this is where Sarah J. Maas's spice is lacking.
Uh, I don't think so. I mean, Sarah J. Maas, I think, basically created. She didn't create it, but like
No, but I
she
mean,
was
like,
the first adult fantasy that I ever read.
yeah, I wonder. I mean, there's probably been, I guess there's obviously adult books prior to that, but I wonder like
I
fantasy
think that she
adult.
has a pretty good level of spice. I'm just saying that once they're together, it really cools off.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate it so much. Sarah,
Yeah.
stop doing that to us. God damn it.
Yeah, my final pick for underrated books was this Dark Shores series. Again, not the most spicy book in the world, but I think there's definitely anticipation. She is the daughter of a seafaring captain and then is forced to take a team of soldiers across the sea because they're the only ones who know how to like go the secret sailing route. No one else can cross the ocean except for these people.
Oh,
And then romance brews between her and the captain. They're like this not all female, but like very female-led pirate
oh,
community. It's really good. And then this book also does multiple perspectives and like one whole book is basically two people's perspective, and then another whole book is two people's perspective. It's really, really good. I think there's 3 books total in the whole series. Um, and I think another one's supposed to come out. So this series I don't think is done yet, but I really enjoyed reading it. And I think that's
oh.
all of my underrated picks.
Dannon, Crown Prince of the Valbaran Fae.
Read. So the first one is not a surprise. It's the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I also would put in Fall of Wrath and Ruin in there. It's so fucking good. Love that one. And it's because it has a strong female main character. The my main male characters are so like sexy, beautiful, and like are unafraid of female leadership. I think that's why I get so excited about it. They're just like, we're following this girl anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, girl. And obviously there's wolves, there's gods, there's magic, there's vampires, kind of vampires, kind of fae or whatever. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Just so sexy. It's just a fun, different world than the usual, I feel like, fantasy worlds. Um, Also the unabashed sexuality, like we said in that threesome situation, just like that world. Oh, if you read the series, you know, but it's just wonderful. It's just so wonderful. And then there's um obviously a female antagonist. There's also a male antagonist, but the female antagonist, like I like seeing when there's also female antagonists because it's not always men are bad. Women can be bad too. And I just love that. I just love that so much.
I
So
also find this female antagonist, Isbeth,
yeah.
is so interesting. Not in
Yeah.
a way that's like, oh, she's redeemable, but it's like you totally see
Yeah.
why she is the way she is. And you're not like you have sympathy, but you're like, she
Yeah.
may, based on what happened to her, like her
Yes.
backstory makes sense for like
Yeah.
why she is the way she is. And then you also see on the other side, the queen that's supposedly like the good queen has also done some very atrocious things where it's like, what is good? What is bad? Like it's all
Yes.
very like, uh,
I love the complexity of the female
yes,
characters. The
yes.
complexity of them, it's like it's showing all sides. All of them can have, I feel like it's that thing where it's like they depending on oh, my speaker went out. Depending on what happens to them, it's like and then their choices after that, it's like how they go about it, and you're like, oh, that happened to you and this is how you chose to go about it. Like, whoa, I get it, but I also am like, why did you do that? Because like it goes for literally all of them, like what happened to Poppy, what happened to both queens, and how they've chosen to deal with it. Like they're all very different, and it's all just so like there isn't a right answer necessarily, but it's just like it's so good. I love it so much. So yes, Blood and Ash series, she is my number one, and then Fall, Wrath, and Ruin. Love
Yeah,
that one.
Light in the Flame is also really good.
Also, Light and the Flame.
I think Light in the Flame, when you read it, you're like, oh, this is extremely similar to Blood and Ash. But I
But
find it super interesting. Yeah, it's
it's
supposed to be,
supposed to be because it's in the
yeah,
same worlds. Like it's supposed to
yeah,
be. It's just a very
100%.
interesting prequel to it, and I like seeing how things get started. Like how did it get to this point? So yes, also yes. Oh God, I love it so much. Um. Okay, the next one, the Shepherd King series by Rachel Gillig.— I feel like it is underrated, but it's also like I've seen obviously people like mentioning it, but it's just not one of those ones that just like take the media
Yeah,
world by storm.
yeah, it was
It's
definitely recommended on Book Talk, which is like how it came across. And then on top of that,
yeah,
I got um word from other people who had actually read it that it held up,
yeah,
and that was right. I would say I contemplated this one, and I'd say this is lives up to the hype. You
yeah,
see it a decent amount. It
yeah.
doesn't get like fan art and stuff like that very
No,
much.
which I want. I want some fan art.
A
I
hundred
really want it.
percent. I feel like because you see it and you're like, what is this book? Like the art
Hmm.
on the cover and the title like really doesn't tell you don't really understand what it is, but man, this book is so
Yeah.
different
Yes. That's what I
and
love about it. It's so, so different. It's
it's
so
so
different from the usual
it's
fantasy.
so immersive. Like you like
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like you're in this book. Like it's written so incredibly well
Yeah.
and the all the characters are very like I don't know. I like every character in this book that you're supposed to like.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone, I'm just like, wow, this is like a good person that's like trying to do their best, which is kind of like the point of the book, I think.
Hmm.
It's so good.
Oh, man, yeah, I just love it. I actually think I like Two Twisted Crowns more than the first one, but that's just my feelings about it. But I love them both. Like you need them both 100%. But it's just like it's so different. It's so fun.
Mhm.
The world is just like crazy. The um antagonist is I fucking hate him. Like, oh my God. Like he made me so mad. Like Joffrey in Game of Thrones mad, or like Ramsay in Game of Thrones mad. Like I was like, this man must go. Like I hate him so
It's
much.
also very funny because there's the man, there's in the first book, there's like the monster,
Hmm.
which you think is
Yeah. You
the
think it's like the
evil.
evil part. Yeah.
But and he does obviously do like really bad stuff,
Yeah.
but he's like on the good side. Anyways, I love that. I love that whole thing. But
Exactly. It's
but
like,
the real enemy, like in Two Twisted Crowns, the very
yeah.
clear enemy is very, very
Yeah.
clear. And you
Very clear.
really hate him.
Fucking hate him. Yeah. Fucking hate him. I was like, oh man, rooting for
Rachel Gillig,
destruction.
you're doing it right. This is not
Yes.
a very spicy book. It's more of a
No.
romance than
Hmm.
spice, but it's worth
Yeah.
reading. It doesn't, yeah, it holds up.
Yeah. And I also just love that the like I think there's two strong female characters in this that are like the like main characters in this, and they just like
Hmm.
catalyze, like they put a catalyst to those main male characters that we are like rooting for. They're like the ones that really get those fuckers moving. Like I'm like, yeah, girls, like
Yeah.
let's get these guys some fire in their ass here. Like let's go. So, and I also just love, yeah, how they need like the magic to be balanced, and like the universe is like it's all about
Everything
balance.
has a cost. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so that's my second. Kind of underrated, kind of
It lives
not,
up
but
to the
yeah,
hype is the main
it
thing.
lives to
Like
the
if you
hype.
see
Yeah.
this, it is not overrated.
No,
It
it's not.
lives up. Oh God.
Okay, so preface. Um, so like I said, I don't read as many books as Sarah. So she has some real good ones. But this one, Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer.
I can't
There are
even.
no notes. It is absolute perfection. Obviously, this all stems from my true love of Twilight.
Yeah,
Obviously.
it's crazy to me. Like obviously Twilight gets the hype it deserves. I
Yeah.
mean, for
It,
sure the movies do.
yeah.
Um, and if you haven't read Midnight Sun, but you loved Twilight,
Yeah.
you
Have to.
absolutely need to read this because
Yeah.
let me tell you, Edward's perspective brings a whole new world to this.
It,
Um,
it brings so much more backstory that you question, obviously, throughout the other books, where you get like little pieces throughout the series, but you don't know what's really happened. And
yeah,
it's just like it gives you, it also like from me, like I haven't reread Twilight in a very long time. This came out, I
we read
read it,
this. Then we reread Twilight right after.
And we immediately reread Twilight. And as I was rereading Twilight, obviously you forget details. Well,
Mhm.
I don't know. Most people I feel like would forget details. But like reading Midnight Sun, it just was like, oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. I love this world. I love just everything about it. And like
I think the
seeing
thing,
also he's so mysterious. So
he's
like
so mysterious.
obviously,
Yeah.
obviously we don't really know what's going on with him. We know a little bit, but we don't really. He's always like gone. He's not always there, especially for like obviously the second book. But the encounter to when he sees Bella and like sense her for the first time and what
Oh
really is going
my
on in his
God.
head.
That is the perfect example of this book because in Bella's thing, she's like, oh my God, this man's like repulsed by me. I'm
Yes.
so worried. I smell bad, blah, blah, blah. Edward's head is literally like, okay, how do I kill every single person in this room and get to like drink
And
that
then
blood? How do
yeah,
I kill her first and then
yeah,
kill everyone in this room? Like it's so
it's
oh,
amazing.
it's so good. And the other thing too is like when you're reading Twilight and she's like, and we kissed and I'm like about to pass out and
Mhm.
he's like grimacing in pain. Like you're really like, okay,
He,
this is
yeah,
kind of weird.
yeah,
Edward's perspective, you're like, there is a monster in me crawling up my throat that wants to devour her.
yes.
And it's
Like
like, oh my God, this is so good.
fucking love it so much. I remember reading like obviously the Twilight series is her perspective. It's Bella's perspective. And then Jacob's later on, but Bella's perspective. And so obviously she's like, oh my God, he's like grimacing, or he always looks like he's in pain.
Yeah.
It's because he's literally fighting himself to not kill her
The
because
thing that I also
he
love
wants her so bad.
is that from Bella's perspective, Edward is so cool and composed.
Mhm.
And from Edward's perspective, he's like, fuck. Like, she caught
I'm
me in a lie. What the fuck? Why can't I
yeah,
keep myself together? Like,
yeah.
what is this girl doing to me?
Yeah, he's literally like
It's so good. And also,
can't
you get
control himself.
such a better perspective of how Alice mind works and
Yeah.
how she's like, okay, so there's this path, there's like all these knots, there's this
Yeah.
pathway, this pathway, this pathway. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to see that in any previous
Yeah.
books because only Edward can read Alice's mind.
Yeah,
Um,
that is really cool when you can like he can see Alice's like obviously what Alice sees for future possibilities and it's just
yeah.
so crazy.
I honestly like I know that this was delayed. I think part of it was like, oh, there was like a leak of like the first
Yeah.
chapter or whatever. I wish that this had come out sooner
Yeah.
because not that I think it probably had great success when it came out because like we're all still Twilight
I
fans.
mean,
But like this
Twilight
is probably my favorite Twilight
book.
book. It's so good. Like
Yeah.
you obviously need to read all of them, but like this
Yeah.
one just hits like ugh,
This
that's the
one
stuff. That's put that in my veins. That's the stuff.
that's the stuff, baby. Let's go. Oh my God. Like
If I could
honestly,
inject this in my blood, oh, that would be. Oh, and when they're driving in the car to go
oh,
save Bella from James, what an adrenaline rush. Snort it.
I was literally like, I really wish they made the movie from Edward's perspective because there was a lot of fucking action going on that we didn't see.
100%. The movie from Edward's perspective, totally different. It's not a
Yes.
romance film. It's like a
No.
man losing his mind film. It's
Yes.
so good.
It's so
I wish
good.
they should do the whole series. Well, they should at least do New Moon from Edward's perspective. That would fucking slay.
Oh my God, I really want to know. I really want to know.
Because at the end of this, no spoilers because I hope you read fucking Twilight. If not, what the fuck? Edward
Where
is like
have you been?
Edward after so she's in the hospital because James like broke her leg. She got all sliced up. She's in the hospital. We all know that. Edward mentally is like me being with this girl is literally going to kill her and like she's the only thing I care about in the world. I need to leave her, which we know because he then leaves her in New Moon. But he
Yes.
is already talking about that in Twilight and he says that to her in the hospital like you need to go to Florida with your mom and she's like, "No."
Yeah. She
Anyways.
loses her mind. Yes.
Yeah, she's like you can't fucking leave me. Don't even talk about leaving me. Which
Yeah.
like crazy. But like so he says that to her. She says no. He's like, "Okay, I'll stay with you." But in his mind, in this book, he's like, for now, but like,
Yeah.
I will eventually be leaving you because this is not okay. So
Yeah.
you really see like, and we've talked about this before, like so clearly see like that incident was the death of Fun Edward. Edward
Died.
prior to that was like, yeah, let's kiss. Ooh, let's have fun. Ooh,
Yeah.
let's like whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, Bella's gonna die and I need to protect her. And like, I don't give a fuck about anything else. I don't care about her feelings. I don't care about anything. She's gonna die. That's my number one priority is making
Yeah.
sure she does not die.
Oh God. Yeah.
And it sucks. It sucks really fucking hard.
For those who don't know, he did watch the footage of what James did, and that's also kind of what put him really down.
That really killed it.
That really put the nail in the coffin, as they say. Like, they were just
But it's like, why
ugh,
did he watch that? Like, that's James wanted you to watch that. Don't fucking watch it. You saw what she looked
know.
like. You saw that she was on the brink of death.
Yeah.
And also the part where he's like, he's sucking out the poison, and then he's like,
yeah.
I didn't think I was gonna stop. But it's like,
Yeah.
you did stop. So like,
But you
fucking
did.
cool it.
You did. You saved her. Okay, so like, stop being such a wiener and just. But
Like on the
anyways,
one hand, you
this.
do love that it's like, oh, Edward's so protective and blah blah blah. But this is like, come on, dude.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're like, okay, I get it. Like, you love her so much. You don't want
And
her
the
to be
only
hurt, but you're
reason
gonna
that
hurt
he
her if
the
you
only
leave.
reason that he ends up backing down is because like they end up in the Volturi situation at the end of New Moon. Like otherwise
Yeah.
he was gonna carry on with this
Yeah.
stupid fucking plan.
He was gonna carry on like an idiot. But it's like, I think this is the one thing that, like, oh, when people go like, you know, Bella's like obsession about like being like 18 or whatever, and like feeling these deep feelings that are like, honestly, it's unsettling if this was real life. But you
Oh yeah.
see,
I recently
but
rewatched New Moon and you're like, hey, dude, if this was
that's
real,
not
you
okay.
should go to the hospital. You are really not okay.
Yeah, things are not good. But you see, like, in Edward's perspective, he kind of, like, he gets it, obviously, because he loves her just as much as she loves him. But he's like, I will put that aside to give you normalcy and
There's
like
also
all
the
that kind of
part
stuff.
where at the end of where they're at the prom and he
Mm.
of course is like, I'm going to leave her.
Yeah.
And he sees her talking to Jacob and he has a moment of like,
Yeah.
I can totally see it. They could have a really happy life together.
Yeah.
And in New Moon, to be fair, if Edward hadn't fucking gone to kill himself,
Yeah.
they totally could have had a happy
Yeah.
life together. They
Ugh.
totally could have.
Yeah, that series could have looked very different if Edward just never did that and Jacob and Bella became an item.
I
Which
totally
I
believe that
think,
Bella and Jacob could have been happy together. I
yeah.
think that making Jacob fall in love with the baby was not the best way to tie up that loose end.
I mean, it makes sense in the way of how strongly he feels for Bella, but then once he has the baby,
I
he doesn't
get
feel
it,
it.
but
I
you
get
can
it.
also just
But
love somebody and then love somebody else.
oh God, I know, dude. Also, like, how they tie that up, and then it's like, obviously this little person, this baby, is going to grow into an adult, which Jacob sees the entire process of, and then they're obviously going to be together.
Okay, here's the thing. A 16-year age gap or 17-year age gap or an 18-year age gap, that's not the worst thing in the world, especially for immortals, okay? Or
Yeah.
long-living people. Wolves aren't
Yeah.
necessarily immortal, but they're long-living.
Yeah.
Now, where it's fucking weird is that if you know someone when they're a baby, okay, so most people who have an 18-year age gap, they don't know each other until that the youngest person is already a teenager.
Yeah.
It's weird to be like, I was your babysitter and then I was your
wiped your
friend
butt.
and now we're sexy together.
Sexy lovers? What are we saying here? Like that, and also just like how Edward, like, is Edward and Bella are obviously are her parents and are like, see that.
Yeah, like is okay, so like Bella and Edward
But, like,
somehow agree. Okay. What's Charlie gonna say? Okay, what is Charlie gonna say when his 16-year-old granddaughter is dating Jacob? What? huh? Okay, Charlie is the only voice of reason, and I want an end chapter, an epilogue where
Oh,
Renesmee and Jacob have to tell Charlie
oh,
what they've
fuck.
done, what they're doing. And Jacob needs to tell Charlie how sick he is.
I also think just like how it's like
Like
if
borderline,
I
that's
was
your
if I
uncle.
was like if I was like yeah
Borderline,
no that's like
that's your
exactly
uncle.
that's your uncle. That is your uncle. No, but also it's not the weird part is like, hey, also like we're gonna be together. Like Renesmee and Jacob are like, we're gonna be together. Like when they're older or whatever, we're gonna be lovers. But also just hey, heads up, I had a massive love crush on your mom. And we were really close
Oh
to
yeah.
doing
Yeah, that's
you know,
like
we made
also
out. We made out. Not a big
yeah.
deal.
Yeah. So like Bella
We
and
made
Edward
out
and
with
everyone are like,
her
oh, it's
mom.
okay. That's why he was so in love with Bella. And he's like, it's because of my connection to the baby. It was always her. Tell that to Charlie. Okay. Tell that to Charlie because what Charlie's gonna say is, hey, you sick fuck. You couldn't get with my daughter, so now you get with my granddaughter? We have problems. Oh, you couldn't get with my
Get back.
daughter, so you got with her daughter? Okay,
I'm sorry.
we have
My
problems.
grandbaby? You're with my grandbaby, and I saw
Yeah.
you, by the way, with my baby. Are you
Yeah.
joking me? Get out
Yeah.
back. I got my fucking shotgun. We're blowing you
I
to
will
pieces.
literally shoot you.
Oh my god. It's so funny though, like that versus the like 100+ year age gap between a 18-year-old girl and a immortal being.
I
I'm
know.
like,
And that's what I'm saying. It's
whatever.
like the 15 years, but also Edward is mentally 17. But the 15 years isn't the big deal for me. It's not the age. It's you love her as
Yeah.
a baby. You're
Yeah.
obsessed with her as a baby. Yes, it's only in like not a sexy way, but how does that
No.
transform from I love this baby more than anything to
Yeah.
I love this
It's like
woman?
incestual. It's like
Yeah,
incestual. That's the
100%.
thing that makes it eerie.
It
Ugh.
is 100% like you're her uncle? Question mark?
Yeah.
Don't
Mm,
love that. Don't
mm-mm,
love that.
mm-mm,
It would be
mm-mm.
fine if like I mean, obviously if he didn't imprint, he would have killed that baby, which I think is like the number one thing.
That
But
would have been
like,
bad.
ugh, not a
Yeah,
fan.
I
But yeah,
know. And then I
obviously
truly understand, like, you truly understand Bella's outburst and wanting to kill Jacob. I'm like,
Bella's
yeah,
reaction of like, I will literally kill you is 100% correct. Like, what the
yes.
fuck?
And the fact that Edward didn't have that immediate reaction.
I feel like Edward was like, I'm just gonna let Bella deal with this.
You know, no.
Edward, I mean, first
No.
of all, Edward's number one thing was like nursing Bella back to life because, like he
Yeah.
said, he was like, I don't give a fuck about that baby if Bella doesn't live.
Yeah, which
So
is fair.
I could see
Which is
that.
fair.
And then the secondary thing of like, okay, she's going to be a vampire. I will just wait for her to wake up and then I'll fucking deal with this shit because
Yeah.
I know
You
she's
know-
gonna have thoughts. The other thing I would say about in terms of like, while we have Stephanie Meyer, The Host
Oh,
by
yes,
Stephanie
the host.
Meyer.
Yeah, the host.
I
is
haven't
a
read
good
this
one.
recently, but
It's not.
it was
It's not
fucking
spicy, sexy, but it's good. It's a good story.
it's really good. And
Yeah.
it's so different. The alien concept, it's so fucking good. Highly recommend The Host as well. But okay. I'll call you.
I'll call you in 5 minutes.
Okay,
I'll call you in 5 minutes.
minutes.
Okay. Watch out, because I'm about to call you in 5 minutes.
Okay, get ready, because I'll be calling you in 5 minutes.
Because I love you so much. I'll be calling you in 5
I
minutes.
love you so much, and I'll call you in 5 minutes.
Hey, I love you, and I'll call you in 5 minutes.
But I mean, I did love the 2 bees in a pod idea, but calling in 5 minutes just makes the most sense.
Obviously.
Because
Obviously. It's literally
because I'm gonna
captures everything.
fucking call you in 5 minutes.
Fucking calling you in 5 minutes, brother. Sister? Darling? My sweet angel? That's the one.
My sweet
My sweet angel, I will be calling you in 5 minutes. I love you.